Yuta is a no-riz amnesiac loner who got Ice-Skyed into his own life, waking up to find out he's sharing brain space with Gridman, a glitchy superhero stuck in a junk PC. Now he's trapped in a fake city ruled by Akane, a Yandere goddess who copes with her loneliness by spawning. But before any of this, at a public school, a girl named Akane is standing on the rooftop of a building. From the way she stands and stares out, it looks like she's about to unalive herself, but in truth, she's just watching a star shining in the sky. At the same time, in another place, a young boy opens his eyes and notices that the place around him doesn't look familiar at all. It's like all of his memories are just gone from his head. Inside the restroom, he suddenly hears someone calling out, "Yuta," which surprises him because that's his name. He looks around and then steps out of the restroom to see where the voice is coming from. As he looks around, he sees that one of his classmates is sitting right next to him. However, the boy can't remember anything like who he is, where he is, or what happened. Rika comes in and asks Yuta what he's doing, and that's when Yuta notices she can't see Gridman on the screen. He tells her that a robot called Gridman just spoke to him and told him to remember who he is. Rika says that he's in her shop. That's when he notices an old computer, and on the screen, a strange robot appears and starts talking to him. The robot says his name is Gridman and tells Yuta that he must try to remember who he really is. Gridman says it's very important and that Yuta's true identity is something he can't forget. But Yuta starts acting like an old man who can't remember anything, and the way he talks makes Rika think that he might have amnesia. Right then, a hottie with red head, who is Rika's mom, tells Rika to take Yuta to the hospital so a doctor can check what's wrong with him. At the hospital, the doctor tells Yuta that his memory will probably come back soon, and that his amnesia might be from releasing too much sauce. After hearing that, Yuta gets up to leave, but then he suddenly stops because he realizes he doesn't remember where he lives. Outside, they find a thick mist, and in the sky, Yuta sees a giant kaiju who looks like Godzilla on drugs. When he points at it, he finds out Rika can't see it. Rika takes Yuta's phone and sends a message to Utsumi to ask for his home address. Since the sun is already starting to go down, they decide to stop by a shop on the way and buy some donuts to eat together. However, Yuta is surprised to learn that this is the first real conversation he's ever had with Rika, even though they've been in the same class before, as they were never close like he thought. Later on, they finally reached Yuta's house. Once they're there, Yuta finds out that his parents are away on a business trip that will last about 3 months, and when he hears that, it feels strange to him. Rika tells him that Utsumi will come by the next day to pick him up, so he doesn't need to worry about anything for now. The next morning, Utsumi shows up and the two of them meet outside and they begin walking to school together. Meanwhile, Rika's classmates start teasing her, saying they saw her yesterday with an ugly clown Yuta. While they walk, Utsumi tells Yuta that they only really started talking back in April, so if Yuta forgot, they could just act like they're becoming friends all over again. Later, Rika tells Yuta about her friends and asks him to let her have her space. After that, Yuta forgets to bring his lunch, so Akane, who is another chick with big joysticks, comes over and offers him a special hot dog. Just then Tonkawa accidentally hit a volleyball into it, and the hot dog fell to the floor. The whole class stays quiet, and still for about half a minute, but Tonkawa says sorry and Yuta still eats the special hot dog. Later, while they are walking home, Yuta says that Akane was really kind to him. Utsumi then tells Yuta that Akane is like a miracle girl, and everyone in the class likes her a lot. Yuta meets up with Rika and tells her he thinks her family gets along really well, but Rika says that feels pretty normal to her. Yuta asks Utsumi if he likes her, but Utsumi mumbles and quickly says no. He then changes the subject and starts asking. After that, Yuta and Utsumi walk together, following Rika all the way home. Later, right then, a robot uses a move called Instant Abreaction, and Yuta feels a tingling in his arm that looks like electricity. Utsumi then points out that the computer looks like it's just thrown together from a bunch of junk. Right then, Gridman tells them that danger is coming close to their world, and they realize that Utsumi can't see this danger either. He gets a bad feeling that something is wrong, then hears a loud noise from a kaiju, and the whole room starts shaking soon after. It becomes clear that the city is in danger. There are fires burning everywhere, and Golgila's monsters are kicking around cars. Yuta and the others go outside to check it out, just as Utsumi suggests they go to the main road to get a better view. Gridman rushes toward the kaiju, but gets slammed into a building hard. Utsumi complains that if this were the Ultra series, the kaiju would have a clear weakness. The Golgilas shoots a bunch of fireballs at them. One of the fireballs bounces into the schoolyard, where Tonkawa is sitting outside. Rika notices and says that the fireball was headed straight for the school. Then, he realizes the kaiju's neck is weak, because it's starting to crumble there. Meanwhile, Yuta sees that the school is catching fire. Rika types on the keyboard to tell Yuta about the kaiju's weak spot. Yuta hears what they say, and his stats start going up. He charges at Gulgilas once more. Then, Yuta comes back through the computer. Gridman tells Yuta that he still has to finish his mission and that the fight with the kaiju is only just the start, which makes Rika feel relieved and Utsumi really excited. After Utsumi praises him, the next day they see that the school is perfectly fixed, just like before, and they wonder if Gridman repaired it for them. Yuta asks some classmates if they remember the kaiju that attacked the city last night, but none of them remember anything at all. He also points out that there seem to be fewer desks in the classroom than there were before. Afterward, Rika asks Namiko and Has where Tonkawa and the others' desks went, but they say they don't remember anyone like that. That's when Utsumi figures out that maybe their memories were reset along with the buildings. While they're talking about the Gridman Alliance, Akane overhears their conversation. Yuta and Utsumi decide they'll go talk to Gridman about it after school. Rika ends up canceling her plans with her friends, so she can go and open the shop. Akane invites Yuta to eat lunch with her on the roof and asks him about the kaiju he mentioned before. When Yuta doesn't give her an answer, Akane says sorry for asking too much. Later, she runs into her homeroom teacher in the hallway and tells him off for not paying attention to where he's going. But the teacher doesn't say anything back, which makes Akane feel upset. Meanwhile, the Gridman doesn't tell any useful information to Yuta, but Utsumi the lone warrior says that there might be aliens coming next. This makes Yuta think about Samurai Caliba, the guy he saw yesterday. Just then, Samurai Caliba walks into the store in real life. His weird posture, like someone who plays Valorant non-stop, creeps Yuta out, so Yuta calls him an alien. But Samurai Caliba explains that he and the others have shown up because danger is getting closer. He then works on junk and fixes it up. After that, Utsumi and Rika are able to hear Gridman's voice too. Akane goes back home and greets Alexis, who lives inside her computer, and tells him that the person who showed up might be called Gridman. She also says that there are 3 kids who didn't lose their memories like the others. They begin looking into the 5 missing students using the addresses Utsumi got earlier at lunch from the school's telephone network. While walking, Rika and Utsumi both realize they can now see the kaiju far away in the distance. Later, Samurai Caliba gives Rika some 56 blend tea. As she drinks it, Rika opens up to him about her worries, and Samurai Caliba tells her that's exactly why they have to fight. However, Rika says she wants Yuta to fight if another kaiju shows up, so he can protect her friends, but when Samurai Caliba tells her to say that to Yuta, she says she can't. Devadadan and tells Alexis she's going to use it to kill her homeroom teacher because he bumped into her and didn't say sorry. As they visit each of the missing students' homes, they discover that all of them had actually died back in middle school. At the same time, Akane finishes making her new kaiju. Afterward, Alexis then activates Instant Ab Reaction, and Yuta tries to run off to join Gridman, but Utsumi stops him, saying it's too dangerous. Yuta replies that if he doesn't fight, more people will end up dying. Utsumi says that he's not like him at all. Yuta and Utsumi quickly run off toward junk, while Rika stays back for a moment unsure. But after talking with Samurai Caliba, she gathers her courage and decides to go too. After that, Devadadan fires another beam across the city, cutting through buildings, and a huge piece of one start falling toward Yuta, Utsumi, and Rika. At the last second, Samurai Caliba slices it apart and saves them. Later, Gridman tells Yuta that the only way he can appear in their world is by merging with Yuta, since he's just energy without a real body. This time, Gridman's movements and colors are different, and Yuta feels lighter inside the body. He can also hear Rika and Utsumi talking from junk, showing that this is the upgraded, optimized version of Gridman. Gridman grabs Devadadan and throws it around before firing a grid beam, but Devadadan reflects the attack right back at him. Yuta receives Primal Acceptor, a device he can use to perform Access Flash and merge with Gridman. Just as Devadadan is about to crush the teacher, Gridman flies in and hits it with a jump kick, then lands on top of a building. So she looks at Samurai Caliba, who uses the access code, Gridman Caliba, and turns into a giant sword. Caliba blocks Devadadan's beam, and then together they use a new technique, and Akane is upset about losing and kicks the computer in anger. Afterward, Gridman gets pushed back even more by Devadadan's beam, and Junk starts its alarm again to warn everyone. Rika asks if Devadadan has any weak spots, but Utsumi can't think of any. Rika goes to meet Namiko and Has, thanking them before she leaves. Yuta feels upset because he thinks about the people he couldn't save, but Samurai Caliba tells him that if he hadn't acted at all, even more people would have died. After that, it begins to rain, and Akane and Anti stand together in the rain. Akane wishes Anti good luck and hands him some food. The next day, Yuta is eating lunch on the roof with Utsumi. She tells him that, just like he expected, no one else remembers Gridman or the kaiju anymore. Yuta says that the city has been destroyed and fixed twice, but no one around seems to notice or care about it. He also mentions that his memories still haven't come back, and he feels like he doesn't belong. Meanwhile, as Rika steps outside, getting ready to head to school, she looks up at the heavy rain falling from the sky and says that she feels like skipping school that day. Meanwhile, his thoughts are suddenly interrupted by Utsumi, who surprises him and points out Samurai Kaliba, standing outside the window in front of their school. Yuta then realizes that Rika isn't at school today. She has actually skipped and gone to Kamisan Park, where she ends up running into Anti. Back at school, Yuta thinks about calling Rika, but before he can make up his mind, Sho taps the call button on his phone for him. Rika hears her phone ringing in her pocket, but chooses not to answer it. Sho then says something strange about how kaiju might actually be humans, which deeply upsets Yuta as he worries that he might have killed people while fighting as Gridman. Sho quickly says it was just a joke, but Yuta doesn't find it funny at all. Their teacher walks into the classroom, and Has and Namiko point out that Rika isn't there today. Back at Kamisan Park, Rika sees that Anti is eating the food Akane gave him like he's really hungry, and he doesn't even have an umbrella in the rain. She walks over to him and asks if he needs one. Then she also offers him her lunch. Just as Anti is about to take the food from her, his phone suddenly rings. It's Akane calling, and she tells him to go wild. Right after that, Anti transforms into a kaiju, and at the same time, Yuta's sensor activates. As the rest of the class gathers around and makes a fuss over the sudden appearance of a kaiju, Kaliba suddenly crashes through the classroom window, breaking the glass. He grabs Yuta and Sho and jumps out with them. The three of them make their way through the city and soon land in front of Rika, who is also picked up by Kaliba. The four of them head to Rika's shop so that Gridman can get ready to fight the kaiju. The fight between Gridman and Anti is completely one-sided because Yuta is too worried that he might be hurting a real person. Rika tells Kaliba to turn into a sword again to help Gridman, but even with that, both Yuta and Kaliba end up getting defeated, and everyone thinks they might be dead. Akane is overjoyed and excited, happy that she was finally able to kill Gridman. When the city gets restored once more, Yuta and Kaliba are nowhere to be seen. The next day, Rika and Sho decide to stop by Yuta's house before going to school, but Rika is scared that he might really be gone, just like Tonkawa and Toiko. After school, Rika and Sho sit sadly at the shop, feeling down. Sho decides to disband the Gridman Alliance, saying there's no point if Yuta is gone. The two start arguing, but they're suddenly interrupted when Boar walks into the shop, followed by a few others. They tell Rika that if she's so worried, she should just try calling Yuta. So she does, and to everyone's surprise and happiness, Gridman, Yuta, and Kaliba are still alive. Gridman had just recovered from the battle. It turns out they faked their deaths and stayed hidden inside the seemingly shut-off junk, hoping to catch Anti off guard. But Anti never showed up again, which disappoints Boar, and Samurai Kaliba finally decides to step out of junk. With Samurai Kaliba now reunited with the strangers that turned out to be his fellow assist weapons, the largest assist weapon, Max, told Gridman through the junk that they had gathered and asked whether he can fight. To Sho and Rika's delight, the hyper agent revealed that he has recovered and makes his move for another round. At the same time, Alexis tells Akane that Gridman is still alive and has shown up again, which makes her quickly call Anti to go fight him. A second battle starts between Anti and Gridman, but just like before, Anti gets beaten fast. This time, though, the heroes are ready for it. With his brand new form, Gridman battles Anti on equal ground, where both sides show great power. At one point, Gridman even uses the Max Grid Beam to go up against Anti's powerful Mega Beam attack. Max turns into his assist weapon form, Battle Max, and joins the fight. He shoots his tanker cannons at Anti, hitting him and making him dizzy for a short time. That gives Max and Gridman the chance to combine using the special move. The battle is intense and ends in a draw, but Gridman still comes out as the winner because Anti's time runs out. He reaches his limit and changes back into his human form. After the fight, Yuta goes back to the shop, and once they are all together again, Gridman introduces the others, saying that they are members of the Neon Genesis Junior High students. Back in front of Akane's, Akane and Anti stand in the rain again, and Akane has another bag of food, but instead of offering it to Anti, she throws it at him. At the same time, Akane feels frustrated because Gridman keeps interfering and Anti still can't manage to defeat him. Alexis asks Akane if she has any clues, and Akane replies that Yuta might know something about the mysterious hero. She explains that she saw the red-haired boy suddenly get kidnapped by Samurai Kaliba, who burst into their classroom right when Anti appeared in his kaiju form. Alexis thinks they need to find out for sure if Yuta really is Gridman, but warns that they have to be very careful about how they do it. The next day, Rika chooses to take the bus to school and ends up meeting Akane at the bus stop. The two girls begin to talk about how they used to walk to school together when they were younger. Though over time they slowly grew apart, something Akane says she didn't even realize had happened. While they're on the bus, Akane asks Rika why she's been spending so much time talking with Yuta recently. Later at school, Rika is approached by Hass and Namiko, who tell her that Arcadia, a group of 4 college-age streamers made up of Imai, Takato, Yamato, and Arai are inviting the girls to hang out with them. The two friends keep insisting that Rika should come along, even though she doesn't really know the group. She's unsure at first, but finally agrees after Akane joins the conversation and casually says that she'll be going too. Feeling happy that she'll get to spend time with Akane again like they used to in the past, Rika spends the rest of her day in a cheerful mood. Yuta notices the change in her and becomes curious, which leads Bohr to ask Rika if something happened to make her so happy. When Rika mentions her plan to meet the Arcadia boys along with Hass, Namiko and Akane, both Sho and Yuta instantly jump to the conclusion that the girls are going on a group date. Sho's constantly talking about it ends up annoying Bohr, who boldly suggests that instead of sitting around and wondering, they should just spy on the girls to find out what's really going on. So, on Saturday afternoon, while Rika and her friends meet up with the Arcadia boys at a karaoke place, Sho and Yuta secretly watch them from a nearby pastry shop. Meanwhile, the Neon Genesis junior high students take their sweet time trying out all the tasty treats the shop has to offer. While hanging out with the Arcadia streaming group, Akane tries once more to ask Rika about her recent interactions with Yuta. However, her efforts keep getting cut off by the Arcadia boys, who start teasing her by saying her profile picture looks like Alien Baltan, even though it's actually Alien Regulin. Annoyed by the constant interruptions, Akane smiles and pretends to be fine as she excuses herself and leaves, which leaves Rika feeling disappointed. Once outside the karaoke building, Akane lets out her frustration by repeatedly tapping the elevator button. Meanwhile, the boys along with Vit, Max, and the others lose track of the girls after they enter the karaoke building, which leads Caliba to comically start barging into each room one by one in search of them. Later that day, when Akane returns home, she's annoyed to find Anti standing right outside her house. Her mood gets even worse when he refuses her request to get rid of the Arcadia boys, saying he's only focused on Gridman. When Alexis asks her how things are going, Akane chooses to ignore him completely and begins thinking about creating a new kaiju, one that could do the job without catching Gridman's attention. At the same time, a disheartened Yuta sits quietly, troubled by the thought that Rika might have feelings for someone else. Seeing his mood, Max sits beside him and gently asks if he has lost his way. That night, Takato receives a call from Imai and Arai, who are clearly panicked and being attacked by something, but their phone connection suddenly cuts off. Although confused and slightly concerned, Takato brushes it off and heads into a nearby alley. However, once inside, he finds himself surrounded by a thick, unnatural fog and then, out of nowhere, he's attacked by an unseen enemy hiding within the mist. The next day, Rika heads out just as Yuta is about to say something to her, but he gets cut off by Sho, who calls him over to join a conversation with Gridman. Meanwhile, Rika meets up with Hass and Namiko and is surprised to see that the Arcadia group has suddenly been reduced to just one member, the original founder Yamato. Neither of the girls seem to think anything is wrong, but Rika starts to feel uneasy and quickly realizes that a kaiju might be targeting the streamers. Without wasting time, she rushes off. At the same time, Gridman, noticing that Yuta seems troubled, asks him if there's anything he can help with. Meanwhile, Rika manages to find Yamato and urgently tries to warn him that something dangerous is targeting him, leaving the college-age streamer confused as he asks her what she's talking about. Suddenly, a thick fog rolls in and glowing, otherworldly tentacles lash out, grabbing Yamato. Rika tries desperately to pull him away and save him, only to realize in horror that a kaiju is truly behind everything, including rewriting the memories and existence of Yamato's missing friends. Just in time, Samurai Caliba arrives and helps her fend for the threat. Together, they manage to rescue the unconscious Yamato and get him to safety completely unaware that Akane is watching. Samurai Caliba quickly tells Max what's happening, and Max then shares the news with the rest of the group right away. After that, Gridman starts fighting the kaiju, and the battle is already going when Anti jumps in too, just as Caliba and Rika come back to the shop. At the same time, Vit, Max and the others join the fight by using the access code on Junk to turn into their assist weapon forms. Anti then strikes the kaiju hard, which makes Akane upset but makes Sho feel better, thinking they now have the upper hand in the fight. But by the time Vit, Max, and the others finish changing and join the battle, they and Gridman suddenly freeze in midair. It turns out that Junk's RAM isn't strong enough to send out Gridman and all of his assist weapons at the same time, so they glitch and stop moving. Because of this, the frozen Gridman is left open, and Anti throws the tentacle kaiju at him, hitting him hard and knocking him out of the air. When Gridman gets back into the battle, he punches Anti away with a strong hit, and then joins Battle Tractor Max to form the Heracles Combine, Max Gridman mode. Yuta says that they only have a small amount of energy left to stay in their form, but Max tells him not to worry too much because the finishing move they'll use won't take as much power as the Max Grid Beam does. After the battle is over, Yuta asks Rika about how things went when she and her friends met with the Arcadia group. However, Rika says it wasn't very fun since Akane left all of a sudden, which made the meeting end way too quickly and later. Hass and Namiko even complained to her about it while they were all sitting at a restaurant. The next day, after getting angry about Anti still being around and finding out through a phone call that Yamato actually survived, she throws her phone right at Anti's face and makes up her mind to skip school. Alexis tells her that she really has worked very hard and reminds her that she made a kaiju that can move without being noticed by Gridman and the others, which is a big deal. After that, Akane shows off her big talents and figure, which is even better than Billie Eilish in front of Alexis. But he asks if she is going on a trip, but she tells him that her group is only going rafting. At the same time, Yuta is packing his stuff for his trip. Then, he arrives at the station where he meets up with Rika and Utsumi. Together, Yuta and his classmates head out on a field trip into the mountains. While they are on the way, Yuta is surprised when he sees the kaiju, but he tells Utsumi that this is his first time riding a train because he has amnesia and doesn't remember anything. After they arrive in the mountains, the boys change their clothes. The boys start talking about how Akane looks like a goddess in her swimsuit, but instead of paying attention to them, Yuta makes fun of Utsumi's stomach. Meanwhile, Akane asks Rika to put some of Yuta's special sauce on her back, and Rika happily applies the cream for her. Later, when everyone goes rafting, all the chicks start playfully touching Utsumi's belly. After that, everyone has a good time on the trip except for Yuta, who looks sad. Akane then comes over, showing off her charm again to try and get his attention. She asks him about his memory and whether he is transforming. When Yuta hears this, he gets shocked and asks her what she means, but she only smiles and walks away. After that, she calls Alexis and tells him to do the instant ab reaction. Just then, the mountain starts shaking, and it turns out that Akane then summons a massive kaiju the size of a mountain in order to draw Gridman out. Meanwhile, Rika's baddie mother is sick of Vit and the others asking if they have some kind of work. Unfortunately, since he is in the mountains, Yuta has no access to Junk and cannot transform. However, Utsumi suggests calling Max and the others so they can bring Junk with them. At the same time, Akane wonders why Gridman hasn't shown up yet. Meanwhile, Vit, Max, and the others buy Junk from Rika's mother to carry it up the mountain to Yuta's location, allowing him to transform into Gridman. Meanwhile, Yuta finally meets up with Vit, Max, and the others, and they are shocked to see him wearing creepy clothes, and then they give him the Junk, so he transforms into Gridman. The kaiju attacks Gridman, but he still rushes forward and fights back against the kaiju. Suddenly, Boar appears and begins shooting at Gridman. However, Gridman's machine uses special attacks to trap Boar, and then Gridman changes into Buster Gridman. He breaks through Boar's armor and then fires a full power beam at the kaiju. After beating the kaiju, Yuta changes back into his human form. Then Rika's friends start teasing her once again. After that, Yuta and the rest of his class head back home, while Max watches and notices that all the kaiju seem to be showing up close to where Yuta's class is. After that, Akane tells Anti to go and kill Yuta, now that she feels sure he might be Gridman. But since Anti hasn't eaten anything in a while, he starts to get weak from hunger. While he's struggling, Rika happens to find him. Rika kindly gives Anti some food, and even helps clean him up with a bath before he suddenly runs off again. Meanwhile, Akane goes to talk to Utsumi, using their shared love for kaiju to get closer to him. She tries to get more information from him, while Boar secretly watches them from a distance. But Utsumi doesn't say anything useful, which leaves Akane feeling frustrated and let down. Later on, Yuta meets a strange young girl who says she's actually a kaiju and that she knows him from before, even if he doesn't remember. She brings Yuta onto a train that rides far outside the city, but she keeps him from falling asleep on the way, so he can see the truth that there's nothing outside the city at all. Then the kaiju girl tells Yuta that the whole city he lives in was completely made by Akane, and that she uses kaiju to destroy and rebuild it over and over again, without anyone ever realizing it. However, she warns Yuta that Akane isn't acting on her own and is actually being controlled by someone from outside. She tells him that he's the only one who can put a stop to it. Even though she's a kaiju, she explains that Akane didn't create her as she's been around since before the city ever existed. Before leaving, the kaiju girl thanks Yuta for helping the one who came before her, then quietly walks away. On his way back home, Yuta suddenly gets attacked by Anti, but Max and Samurai Caliba show up just in time to save him. They tell Anti that if he kills Yuta now, he'll never get the real fight he wants with Gridman. Anti thinks about it and agrees, then walks away without finishing the fight. After that, Yuta heads back to the shop to tell Gridman everything he's learned. When he gets there, his friends are already waiting for him. At the same time, Alexis Carib quietly watches Akane from a distance, saying nothing. The next day, Yuta tries to explain to Rika and Utsumi what he found out from the kaiju girl, saying she looks like a little kid from elementary school, but she's actually a real kaiju. However, both of them doubt what he's saying because it sounds way too strange and hard to believe. He tells them that the kaiju girl said Akane is using kaiju to destroy the city, so she can rebuild it the way she wants, and that she's done this many times before. But even after hearing that, Utsumi and Rika still don't believe him. Yuta starts to wonder if maybe Akane actually likes kaiju, but Rika says she doesn't think a high school girl would care about kaiju at all. Back in class, Yuta notices Akane staring at him like a snake, but he decides to ignore her. Later, while walking home, he suddenly sees Anti standing in the school hallway. As soon as Yuta sees him, he takes off running as fast as he can, but Anti catches up and demands that Yuta bring out Gridman. However, Yuta explains that Gridman only shows up when there's a kaiju nearby. After hearing that, Anti runs off and even steals Yuta's lunch. Sometime later, Akane finds Anti sitting by himself and asks what he's doing. He tells her that he's waiting for Gridman to appear because once he does, he will be able to turn into a kaiju by his own choice. However, she kicks him on his face and walks away. Meanwhile, Yuta tells Rika and the others that Akane creates kaiju to get rid of things she doesn't like, even if it means destroying the city just to reset everything again. Right after that, Max says Yuta isn't making it up because he also saw the same girl and thought she seemed strange. Yuta then wants to ask Samurai about her, but Samurai says he doesn't think anything about it. Later, when Yuta heads back home, he's surprised to see Akane standing right in front of him, and then she casually drinks his juice. She then lies down on his bed and tells him to bring out his massive monster and join her, so they can do something together. After that, she makes him an offer to team up with her, but Yuta says no because he doesn't want to betray his friends. After that, she asks Yuta to walk her home, and they both walk together down the street. While they walk, Akane says the city has too many useless things in it. Yuta then asks her if she wants to destroy those useless things using kaiju, and she says yes, like it's no big deal. She then tells Yuta that she wants him to meet someone. While they sit and eat their food, Yuta starts to slowly realize how messed up Akane really is. She explains how she had some students killed just because they made her angry, like it was nothing serious at all. Just then, Alexis arrives and meets up with Yuta. Seeing him, Yuta realizes that he is an alien, but then Alexis tells Yuta that he brings Akane's designs to life, which means he's the one who makes the kaiju for her. Just as Yuta is about to eat his food, his wristwatch suddenly starts beeping, and he quickly realizes that there's a kaiju nearby. He stands up and leaves right away. After he's gone, Akane looks confused too, since she didn't make any kaiju that day. Meanwhile, Yuta goes back to the shop and transforms so he can fight the kaiju. The others watch and wonder if the kaiju is just going to float around the city without doing anything. Gridman attacks the kaiju, but nothing happens, and then the kaiju hits him back with a strong attack. At the same time, Akane gets home and sees what looks like a UFO-shaped kaiju. She asks what it's doing there, and Alexis explains that he let Anti make his own kaiju to fight Gridman. Meanwhile, Gridman fires a beam at the kaiju, but it dodges the attack and hits back. After seeing that, everyone tells Vit to help since the beams aren't working at all. So Vit joins up with Gridman, and they combine to become Sky Gridman. Together, they fight Anti and his kaiju in the sky, as Anti and the kaiju keep chasing after Gridman, clearly desperate to win. The battle takes them higher and higher until they notice something strange. The sky above them isn't real at all. When Max sees this, he realizes that what Yuta heard from Akane earlier is actually true. However, Gridman manages to beat Anti in the fight, and Alexis tells Akane that Anti is completely useless as Akane is the only one good at everything. However, Yuta and his friends are left feeling uneasy because of everything that just happened. Meanwhile, Akane gives Alexis's permission to discipline Anti for acting on his own. Alexis listens and easily defeats Anti, then cuts his face with a quick slash. As the school gets ready for the festival, Rika tells Yuta that her parents are going to come, which makes her feel even more embarrassed. Right then, Utsumi shows up and asks if they remember seeing that city in the sky. Yuta hears that and starts wondering what it actually was. However, Utsumi guesses that the place looked like an old, abandoned city and thinks it might be some kind of alien base. He also wonders if the kaiju attacks and the city resetting could be the work of aliens. But Yuta says the guy looked more like a final boss to him. Just then, Max and the others show up and start teasing Utsumi, saying his story sounds really boring. Max asks Utsumi if he really thinks the aliens will cut this city off from the rest of the world, and Utsumi says yes. But Boar gets annoyed, kicks him, and tells him to stop getting so excited every time his weird theories come up. Max then says that the aliens might be using Akane to keep making all these kaiju. Just then, Samurai Caliba walks into the school, and everyone starts freaking out because of the strange way he's standing. However, Rika wonders if someone's going to call the police on him, especially since he looks like the kind of guy who supports Diddy Oil. Just then, the Neon Genesis high schoolers show up, and Boar tells Samurai Caliba that it's time for them to retreat. At the same time, Akane creates a new kaiju with help from Alexis, and this time she's completely focused on taking down Gridman for good. Meanwhile, Yuta, Rika, and Utsumi walk down the street talking about how Caliba and the others might have been reported by the school. They agree it's better to stay away for now since the school is being strict about who comes in and out before the festival. Later on, Akane walks up to them and mocks them, saying she plans to attack the festival with her newest kaiju. She also explains that she took the kaiju which Yuta first fought and made it way stronger. Yuta and Utsumi quickly begin coming up with a plan to stop Akane's kaiju. Utsumi says that if they combine their powers, the Gridman Alliance can get through anything. After hearing that, Gridman starts to realize that the stronger he becomes, the more energy he uses. But they also can't keep the access flash going for too long, and Yuta starts to wonder if maybe the Neon Genesis high schoolers could combine their powers too. Rika quickly gets into an argument with Utsumi, and the two of them have a falling out. Utsumi tells her that no matter what, they'll end up fighting Alexis eventually. Rika tells them to just go ahead and do whatever they want without her. Utsumi thinks she's just angry, so he explains that it's not like he wants to fight, but the Gridman Alliance doesn't have any other choice. But Rika still says that Akane is her friend. Later that night, Utsumi and Yuta sit outside a convenience store, and Utsumi thinks all the bad kids at school will see him as a joke, so he feels like his whole high school life is ruined. The next day, still feeling guilty about what he said to Rika, Utsumi joins Yuta to go talk to Akane. They ask her why she wants to attack the school festival when Gridman is the one she's really after, but Akane doesn't give them any answer. At the same time, over at the junk shop, Anti shows up looking badly hurt and in awful shape. He says that he's looking for a girl, but before he can say anything else, Rika's mom shows up and asks if he's searching for someone. Before he can answer her, he suddenly passes out. Later, Rika's mom gives him some food, and he eats it quickly, just like a hungry stray dog. Meanwhile, Rika goes to talk to Akane and tells her that she found out who was behind the deaths of Tonkawa and the others. But Akane blames everything on kaiju. Then, Akane reveals something shocking. She says that Rika is just artificial intelligence, made from the beginning to be her friend, and because of that, Rika isn't able to hate her no matter what. Meanwhile, Yuta sees Rika looking upset, and she tells him that she wants to say sorry to Utsumi before he does, since he won't expect her to make the first move. That gives Yuta an idea to have Gridman show up at the festival, so people will evacuate before Akane can send out her kaiju. They go through with the plan, making Gridman smaller on purpose, so that the whole Max, and the others can combine with him and turn into full-powered Gridman. The kaiju gets defeated, and after the day resets, the festival goes on just like normal. Yuta and his friends take part in the fun, and Rika and Utsumi finally make up and fix things between them. Meanwhile, Akane stays at home, feeling more and more depressed because she still can't beat Gridman. However, Alexis keeps pushing her to create more kaiju. For her next move, Akane makes a kaiju that traps Yuta, Rika, and Utsumi in their own dream worlds. Yuta wakes up the same way he did before and sees someone sitting nearby. At first, he thinks it's Rika, but this time it's Akane sitting in her place. Just like before, he acts confused, asking who she is and where he is, as if he still has amnesia. Akane starts acting strangely and moves closer to him, asking if he hit his head and if he even knows who he is. Later, Yuta runs into Rika's mom, but in this world, she's now Akane's mom. She asks Akane if she can take Yuta to the hospital since it looks like he has amnesia. After the hospital visit, the doctor tells Yuta that he should be back to normal soon, so he decides to head home. Akane asks if he even remembers his address and offers to take him back herself. On the way, they stop to buy some cookies, and Yuta asks her why he was sleeping at her house in the first place. Afterward, Yuta tells her that he collapsed while walking home from school and ended up falling asleep at her place. Then Yuta asks if they're friends, but Akane says they're actually in a relationship. After that, she takes him back to his house and asks for a goodbye kiss. But it turns out she's just messing with this freaky clown. Meanwhile, Rika gets to her school but finds it completely empty. Then she runs into Akane, who asks if she's there to join a club. Rika says that her middle school made her do it, so she'd rather just go home now. Akane then tells her that her house is right next to hers, which really surprises Rika. Meanwhile, Akane finds Utsumi inside a hub bookstore, looking at some R-rated comics. She's surprised to see him reading stuff like that, especially ones about spaceships. Then Utsumi asks her if she likes kaiju, and she says she does. So he shows her a kaiju, and she tells him what name it should have. However, Akane tells Utsumi they should go to Nankano together so they can look at more kaiju, but Utsumi thinks it's kind of weird and doesn't get why she wants to do that. The next day, Akane asks Rika to come to her house and says her parents are usually not home. When Rika gets there, Akane shows her someone named Alexis and says he's a foreigner who is just dressing up in costume. At the same time, Utsumi and Akane hang out, visit some places, and buy a lot of things while they're out together. Little by little, Akane keeps spending time with all of them in this dream world, just the way she wants it to be. Alexis watches everything from the side and feels happy about how things are going. He's also really impressed by how Akane is able to create such an amazing kaiju all on her own. Meanwhile, in the real world, Yuta, Rika, and Utsumi are stuck in a deep sleep and can't wake up no matter what. A kaiju floats high above the city, but it can't be touched or hurt because it has no real body. So the Vit, Max, and the others can't do anything except wait and watch. Samurai Caliba also thinks that this strange kaiju might be the one causing everything. Inside the dream, Yuta starts noticing pictures of Gridman appearing all over the place, making him feel confused. But back in the present, Anti shows up at Vit, Max, and the others' base again, completely soaked from standing in the heavy rain. He tells the others that beating Gridman is the only thing he cares about, but Boar tells him that Gridman isn't around right now, which makes Anti lose his temper and yell at them. After learning that Gridman won't be showing up, Anti rushes straight at the kaiju, trying to attack it, but he can't hurt it at all because it's untouchable. At the same time, Alexis starts wondering if Anti has started to like Gridman and maybe changed his mind. But Akane gets mad and complains that Anti still hasn't taken care of him like he was supposed to. Inside the dream world, Yuta, Rika, and Utsumi slowly start to figure out that everything around them isn't real and that they're trapped in a dream. When Akane offers them a chance to stay in the dream forever, they all say no and decide to leave. This gives Gridman the opening he needs to attack the dream version of the kaiju, which causes the real one to finally become weak and able to be hurt. Right away, Vit, Max, and the others get ready and work together to combine into the big robot called Powered Xenon. Without wasting any time, they defeat the kaiju all by themselves. However, Anti then yells at Samurai Caliba, asking why Gridman still refuses to fight him, and Caliba answers that Gridman won't fight anyone who has a heart, even if that person is a kaiju. After hearing this, Anti gets even more upset. Meanwhile, Akane realizes that her plan didn't work and starts sinking deeper into her sadness. Back in the real world, Yuta, Rika, and Utsumi finally wake up from their dream, and they now understand that their real mission is to help Akane wake up from the dream she's stuck in. Rika then turns to the others and tells them to be quiet because she has something important she needs to say. After that, everyone sits together and talks about what Akane Shinjo revealed, that they were all made by one of her kaiju. The group tries to understand what that really means for them. Utsumi speaks up and says he has family in Ineji and even remembers going to Kyoto in his 3rd year of middle school, but now he's not sure if those memories were ever real or just something made up as part of the world Akane created. However, Rika admits that with everything happening, she can't even trust her own memories anymore, like how none of them noticed the kaiju all around them until Yuta pointed them out. At the same time, Akane has a strange dream where she's just a normal high school student. In the dream, a group of people, including Tonkawa, show up and ask if she wants to hang out with them. Right after that, Akane suddenly wakes up and sees Alexis sitting beside her again. He tells her to go ahead and create her next kaiju, but Akane just sits there, unsure, and quietly wonders what the point of making kaiju even is anymore. Meanwhile, Utsumi keeps going on about how broken and fake the world Akane made is. But Bohr gets fed up with his constant whining and kicks him again to shut him up. Yuta then tells everyone that they can't wait any longer and need to head to Akane's house right now. Max and the others start to wonder if there might be some kind of trap or danger waiting for them there. He believes Akane might be under the control of some aliens, and they have to help her before it's too late. After that, they all go to Akane's house to finally confront her. But when they get there, they find something strange. The inside of the house is completely gone, and the only thing left is a portal leading to the backstage of Computer World. Days pass without any new kaiju showing up, and Akane stops coming to school. Utsumi starts to worry and wonders what will happen to them if Akane is really gone for good. Yuta stays calm and says he believes they'll be okay. Still, Utsumi says that maybe one day they might all disappear too. Later, Yuta explains everything to Rika and the rest of the Vit, Max, and the others, trying to piece things together. Bohr starts thinking out loud and wonders if the reason everything keeps resetting is because there's some kaiju hiding beyond the fog. And if that's true, then maybe the only ones not getting affected by it are Gridman and their team. Yuta then asks if Akane is also the reason why he lost his memories in the first place. But Vit replies that if Akane really had the power to do something like that, then beating Gridman would have been way too easy for her. Meanwhile, Utsumi finds a way to deal with all the confusing thoughts about their existence by deciding to focus on something normal studying for the midterm exams. He says that even if they're living in a world created by Akane, there are still things they have to do, and life keeps moving. So he spends the night going over his notes, showing that he's not going to let the situation stop him from doing what matters. Sometime later, Rika and Yuta have a quiet talk together. Rika asks if gods usually have a world of their own, and wonders if maybe Akane ran away from that world and came here instead. Yuta thinks about it and says that Akane never really seemed that weak to him. But Rika gently replies that Akane isn't weak, she's just sensitive, and that's something people often don't understand. Meanwhile, Samurai Caliba faces off with Anti and starts a serious fight. During the battle, Caliba asks him what he would even do if Gridman disappeared. Unlike the other students who are confused about their purpose, Anti doesn't feel lost at all. He's sure that his life purpose is to defeat Gridman and doesn't see the need to think about anything beyond that. Afterward, Akane's newest kaiju, Nanisher, appears and begins causing destruction. Right away, Gridman and the Vit, Max and the others rush into action and combine their powers to form full-powered Gridman. Together, they defeat Nanisher without much trouble. Just then, Anti suddenly jumps in and attacks Gridman, but his energy runs out fast, and he changes back into his human form. Gridman tells everyone that Anti has grown a heart by being around humans and has gained his own sense of humanity, which is why Gridman refuses to destroy him. However, Anti seeks out Akane and she rebuffs him, wanting nothing to do with a kaiju that has become human. A new kaiju suddenly bursts out from inside Nanashi's body and starts destroying all of Venora, the poison-smoking kaiju that quietly fixes the city at night. Full-powered Gridman comes back to face this stronger version of Nanisher, but the new kaiju is fast, making flips and jumps all over the place. Gridman's power runs out in the middle of the fight, and he ends up getting badly beaten. Just when things seem hopeless, Anti shows up out of nowhere, and defeats the upgraded Nanisher. Impressed by his actions, Max gives Anti a new name, calling him Grid Knight to honor his bravery. As the team celebrates their victory and takes a moment to congratulate each other, Akane suddenly appears at the pawn shop. After that, Akane suddenly stabs Yuta and destroys Junk, leaving everyone in shock. Vit and the others quickly rush over to help Yuta, trying to stop the bleeding and figure out what to do. At that moment, Rika's mom walks in and is horrified to see Yuta lying on the floor hurt. Rika tells her to call an ambulance right away, but the phone isn't working, so they all work together and manage to rush Yuta to the nearest hospital. Meanwhile, the city is still in chaos because of all the damage caused by the kaiju Nanisher. Later on, Samurai Caliba tells the group that Yuta is going to be okay and that the doctors were able to treat him successfully. Rika's mom says she tried to call Yuta's parents, but the phones still aren't working. Samurai Caliba and Vid explain that it's not just the phones. Every form of communication in the city is completely down. Utsumi starts to wonder if maybe it's because all the scenery-like kaiju have been defeated, and that's why things are falling apart. But Samurai Caliba tells him that if those kaiju were really the ones keeping the city together, then the city and everyone's memories would have stopped resetting by now. Rika goes back to school, and she is really angry at Akane because she thinks what Akane did is something that can't be forgiven. She wants to find her no matter what. Later, she meets up with her friends and asks if a lot of people have died so far. Her friends show her pictures of Gridman and tell her that he always shows up and fights the kaiju for them. At the same time, Akane tells Alexis that since Yuta is dead, Gridman won't appear anymore, so there's no reason for her to make any more kaiju. Alexis still wants her to do it, but she says she can't. She doesn't feel like doing it anymore because her heart isn't in it. However, Alexis decides to use what he already has and brings all the old kaiju back to life. Meanwhile, Rika reaches the hospital, and Utsumi tells her that Vit, Max, and the others can't fight without help. Max explains to her that their strength only works because Gridman gives them power. Right then, Anti shows up at the hospital, and Boar suddenly tells everyone that Anti is actually a kaiju who's just acting like a human, which surprises and shocks them all. However, Anti tells them that he isn't a kaiju anymore and explains that he has changed, but the others still don't trust him and act cold toward him. After that, Utsumi gets really angry, grabs Anti by the collar, and says that he never thought he'd meet a kaiju face-to-face like this. Even with the tension, they decide to let him help. Anti quickly runs off, transforms into Grid Knight, and jumps into battle against the kaiju that are causing chaos. Anti uses his new transformation's power against the kaijus and splits two of them apart. Meanwhile, Boar asks Utsumi what would happen if this was the Ultra series, but he doesn't reply. After that, Samurai and the others start to wonder why Yuta still isn't waking up. Rika's mom explains to them that he went into hypovolemic shock, which is why he's unconscious. But then they ask her to come with them. Yuta is actually in a coma, and the members of Vit, Max, and the others figure out that the reason he can't wake up is because the computer, Junk, isn't working. So they all begin fixing it right away. Boar finds some graphic cards inside the store, but Rika's mom says those are part of the shop's stock. Still, she lets them have it for free. While Yuta is still in his coma, he starts talking with Gridman. Gridman tells him that they are now one and the same. Yuta then begins to understand that he isn't really Yuta, but actually Gridman living inside of Yuta's body. But right before Gridman can explain more, Samurai finishes fixing Junk and switches it on. And that's the moment when Yuta finally wakes up. At the same time, Anti is still out there battling the kaiju, but now he's starting to struggle because even more of them are showing up. On the other side, Yuta tells Utsumi that he never actually had amnesia. Instead, he reveals that he didn't have any memories at all because he's really Gridman, living inside Yuta's body the whole time. Utsumi suddenly realizes that the whole time, he had actually been with Gridman, not the real Yuta like he thought. Feeling upset, Utsumi asks him what more he plans to make him do. But Yuta doesn't answer and leaves the hospital without saying anything else. Meanwhile, Anti is seriously hurt and struggling to stand as Alexis begins to destroy the whole city with his powerful attacks. At the same time, Yuta reaches the shop and sees that Junk is working and ready to connect him with Gridman again. He quickly heads to the battlefield and shows up just in time to save Anti. Then, both Gridman and Grid Knight fight side by side, firing their beams at the kaiju together and completely wiping them out. Meanwhile, Rika finally finds Akane, who is still stained with Yuta's blood. As the two talk, they begin to speak about their friendship and everything that's happened between them. But before they can say much, Alexis suddenly appears, saying he needs something to make one last kaiju. Then he turns Akane into a kaiju right in front of Rika. Since Alexis has just turned Akane Shinjo into the kaiju Zega, the huge monster begins stomping through the city, destroying everything in its path. At the same time, Yuta Hibiki arrives at the pawn shop, now fully aware of who he really is. Gridman the hyper agent with all his memories finally back. Anti, who just finished taking down the last of the revived kaiju, shows up at the shop to check in with the others. After a quick moment with them, he heads back out to face Zega, somehow sensing deep down that Akane's soul is still trapped inside the monster. Meanwhile, Rika and Alexis are still standing on the rooftop, having a conversation. Alexis seems entertained by everything that's happening, especially the idea that the girl who used to create kaiju has now become one herself. He mocks Rika, saying it's foolish for her to believe she's Akane's friend, because in reality, Rika is just something Akane made. At that moment, Yuta shows up using Sky Vitter, picking up both Rika and Utsumi and flying them back to the shop so they can join the battle. At the same time, Gridknight forces open Zega's jaws, but then turns back into his human form as Anti and falls into the dark pit below. However, Anti searches through the darkness and finally finds Akane, pulling her out. The two of them end up standing on the outside shell of Zega, which has now stopped moving since Akane is no longer powering it. As they begin to talk, Alexis suddenly appears and stabs Anti from behind, leaving him badly hurt. Alexis then absorbs Akane into his own body and transforms into a giant kaiju, ready for one final battle. Back at the shop, each member of Vit, Max, and Yuta are given an acceptor device. This allows them to connect their hearts as one. Shouting access flash, they all dive into the computer Junk to face Alexis together. Junk asks for the access code, which is needed to bring Gridman out. Utsumi quietly says the word Gridman, and Rika type it in. Right after that, the screen on Junk shows what SSSS really stands for. At the same time, Anti is lying in the street hurt badly and bleeding after being stabbed. Anti also has one of the new acceptors, but he's too weak to say the words needed to use it. Just then, Gridman appears in his true form. He charges at Alexis Carib and strikes him hard, slicing him apart, but Alexis isn't finished as he quickly pulls himself back together and regenerates. Afterward, Alexis tells Gridman that he can keep coming back forever. He says he's immortal and endless, but admits that living forever comes with a cost. That's why he used Akane. Akane was the one who found Alexis, and with his help, she created the city. But when the city didn't turn out perfect, she got upset and kept making kaiju to destroy and rebuild it. Alexis enjoyed watching her suffer through the pain and stress of doing this again and again. However, Gridman understands that he can't truly defeat Alexis, and if he keeps fighting, he'll just get worn out and destroyed. So instead of trying to kill him, Gridman uses the Fixer Beam. It repairs the city and also heals everything inside it, including Akane's heart. Akane hears the voices of Rika, Utsumi, and Yuta calling out to her. They tell her the message that Gridman has been trying to share all along. Hearing their words, Akane finally decides to accept their help and opens the door to her heart. At the same time, the Fixer Beam takes effect, and the image of Computer World begins to fade and melt away. The broken and fake version of the city is replaced with a new, brighter version. This time not just a small town, but a world that stretches far beyond, showing the entire planet beyond the city. At Akane's house, all her stuff is packed into boxes, as she doesn't want to be the god of this world anymore, and she's going back to the human world where she came from. She sits with Rika and says sorry for all the hurt she caused everyone here. Rika gives her a goodbye gift, a small case for her transit pass. After that, Akane is gone, and the boxes are gone too. At the pawn shop, everyone is back to their normal human selves and Gridman is getting ready to leave. Now that Akane is free, Gridman has trapped Alexis Carib inside a container and is taking him back to Hyperworld. Before he goes, he tells the others that when he's gone, Yuta will wake up and won't remember anything that happened while Gridman was using his body. As snow falls, Anti opens his eyes and sees the kaiju girl Anosyllis, who has rescued him and brought him back to life. How long will it take for Yuta to fully awaken as Gridman? Let us know in the comments if you'd like part 2 of this series. Make sure to like and subscribe for more.